What's going on here? Why are you fighting? You're not even programmed to have emotions. You're robots. Stop it, guys. Dalek, take back what you said about R2's mother. That is not cool. You don't bring mums into an argument. Now, guys, please, all right? Let's just behave. This is awesome. This is live TV, okay? Behave. Take your places, please. Robots, can you believe? What's that? We're on. Hello, I'm Kayne Tremills and welcome to ABC Splash. We got a jam-packed show for you today. In fact, it's all about robots, the wonderful world of robots. We'll be checking out what's happening in your classrooms. We'll also be checking out what kind of robots there are, what they can do, and what they're gonna do. Oh, yes. We're also gonna tell you that if you're not inspired by robots right now, trust me, by the end of this episode, you will be. Fingers crossed. Now, we're not just joined by robots in the studio, we're also joined by some really special guests. Please make some noise for Mr. Dave Everett. He's from Sydney Robot Workshop. We have Maurice Pagnucco over here. Maury, Associate Professor and Head of the School of Computer Science and Engineering at the University of New South Wales. What a title. What a man. We also have Shirleen Sharma. Shirleen is Training Manager for Robogals, University of New South Wales. We also have our expert programmers, Sean Harris and Paul Aitken. And we also have our lovely online experts that will be answering your questions. Ian Collings, who is the Head of Robotics at CSIRO. And of course, Bronwyn Morton from RoboCup New South Wales and is the Head Teacher at Asquith Girls High School. Now, guys, for you watching right now, ABC Splash is your show. It's all about you. Without you sending in your questions, it's just a whole bunch of adults playing with robots in a studio. It's actually not that fun. So make sure you jump online and send us your questions. We'll get to as many as we possibly can. Now, last but certainly not least, the guys making the studio audience noise up the back here, please make them welcome. It's East Hills Girls Technology High School. What is with the titles? Waitara Public School. And St. Mary's Public School. These guys will be with us all day, and we've also hand-selected 4 students from our studio audience which will be taking part in a robot workshop up the back here. These guys have got half an hour to learn as much as they possibly can about robots. I wish them the best of luck. Good luck, guys. Now, come with me. I don't know about you sitting at home, but when I think robots, I immediately think like Transformers, I think C-3PO, I think R2-D2, I think Cybermen, I think Daleks. Please allow me to introduce Dave Everett. Dave, you've got a very different idea of robots. In fact, you single-handedly built most of these robots in this room, did you not?
That's right, yeah. I built them at our workshop, Sydney Robot Workshop.
Wow, dude, when did you first get into building robots?
I was about 7 years old, I think, watching TV shows with robots in them, and I wanted to build a robot of my own.
How did you build a robot at 7 years old?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Man, I was picking my nose at 7. You're building robots.
Well, I didn't say it was any good, but I did build one, yeah.
All right. Do you ever wonder what the earliest robots looked like?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do.
I'm glad you said that, because check this out.
Autonomous robots are the next generation of robots, which is they think for themselves, they do their own things, and they can help us to be safer, more productive, and maybe some of those things in Star Wars can be real. That's what autonomous robots are. Now we have robots that can be plugged into the ground and made to do things which are specific tasks, like on building a car or building an aircraft. And we also have robots that are starting to be a bit more free-ranging. I've even got a neighbour who has one that mows his front lawn. So we're always thinking about how much intelligence we can get into a robot, and that's actually a real challenge. Some people have a question about whether robots will become more intelligent than humans, but I think it's going to be a long time before the ingenuity and the creativity of a human is matched from a robot.
Your humble servant.
It's an interesting question, Dave. Do you think the robots will become smarter than humans?
Oh, I think eventually they might.
Eventually?
Yeah.
Have they come very far since you were building them at 7 years old?
There's been a lot of development in robotics, a lot of manipulation, stuff with vision, but it's just that intellectual part that we still haven't solved.
The tip of the iceberg. Talk to me, because all of these robots behind us, there's all different types of robots, right? They don't all serve the same purpose.
No, they don't, yeah.
Take us
So
through.
if we start off with animatronics, that's things like this parrot here, which mimics a parrot. This head, which looks like a human head, it can move its eyes and mouth and so
I don't know
forth.
what kind of humans you're looking at,
Well,
but that does not look
Well,
like
maybe
a human.
I move in different circles.
Yeah, right.
We've got a robot dinosaur here, which
cool.
is interactive as well, so you can touch him and make him
What
move.
do you mean? You can,
Yeah, give him a bit of a scratch underneath the chin there.
Hello.
That's it, yeah.
Oh.
There he goes.
Oh, who's a good boy? Wow. Oh, that's, okay, wow. There you go. Oh, it's amazing. What about this guy next to you here?
This is Sid, which was built by one of our members of the club, and it's an interactive droid, so it can also move about autonomously using sensors, so it can work out where it's going.
See, I've heard this term before, Dave. Talk to me about autonomous, semi-autonomous. What kinds are we talking about?
Yeah, well, fully autonomous is a robot which acts without any human interaction. So it can go and do its job and it doesn't need you to do anything for it.
Right. It can think for itself.
That's right, yeah. It works out where it is and what it needs to do.
What? Go on.
Now, semi-autonomous, of course, means that there's some level of human control. Maybe you take it to a location to do a job, or you help it with part of that operation, or move it with a remote control, but the rest of the time, it's doing the work by itself.
Okay. I should mention also, Dave, that during the week, we got some of the guys online to send through some questions. I'll be referring to winning questions, and we've got our first winning question for the day. This one's from Duck Noodles Duo. Good name. They say, can robots be used to discover the distant corners of the world?
And they're doing that right now.
Oh.
We've got robots that explore volcanoes, undersea, obviously out in space, on Mars. They're very successful robots.
And are they all autonomous? Are they doing this on their own?
Some of them are autonomous and others are semi-autonomous, as I explained before. For example, the Mars rover is controlled from Earth, but it takes 8 minutes for the signal to get there. So the robot has to make decisions itself so it doesn't run off a cliff or something
What?
of that kind.
Dalek coming. Dalek coming. Just act cool. Act cool. Hey, Dalek, what's... Oh, you've got a question. Just don't point your laser at me. There we go. Hey, Dalek. OK, thanks, Dalek. Good to see you, man. So robots will be bringing us questions throughout this. Dave, how long does it take to develop a robot? From Jeremy. Good question.
You could build quite an interesting robot in a day.
In a day?
Maybe half a day, if you want, maybe a week if you want to build something more sophisticated.
How long would something like next to you, the Sid here who's dancing away as we talk?
Well, Sid's been worked on for probably a few months, just on and off by the guy who built it. So you can build something like that in a very short period of time.
And you think you can build a fully functional robot in a day?
When I say fully functional, it'll do something interesting, but
Okay.
it probably won't be
All
complete.
different levels of robot.
Yeah.
Oh, who's a good boy? Come here, K9. Sorry, so many robots coming. Hello, K9. Who's a good boy? Go on, K9. Back to your hole. Go on, good boy. A good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy, K9. He's been well trained. All right, back to it, Tremills. How do you make a robot dance? Put a little boogie in it. No, that's a tissue. Sorry, that one's from Diamonds. How do you make a robot dance?
Well, I think you'd spend a lot of time teaching it how to move. This robot, for example, is scripted to move its arms, so that'd be the beginning of a dance. It might not be very interesting, but at least it's doing something.
So what do you mean scripted?
Well, in your program, you might decide where this servo that controls this arm moves to and where this one moves to at a certain time. And then you could link that to music, so you could have it actually dancing to the beat of the music.
Right. So what you've programmed for Sid here, he's just doing the same movement.
That's right, yeah.
But if they're autonomous, then they can figure out their own dance moves to music.
They can, and that's the dangerous part, because then you don't know what's coming next.
Right. Speaking of coming next, Dave, be really gentle. Bruce, come here. Bruce is really shy. It's his first time on telly. You're a good boy, Bruce, aren't you? Yes, you are. You're a good boy. Good work, Bruce. Go on, go back. Go back over there. Bruce, over there, Bruce. Silly Bruce. Who's a good boy? He's just a bit shy, that's all. First time on telly. All right, this question comes from Animal Lover. What is the most amazing thing you have programmed a robot to do? Good question.
Well, I have made a robot that finds empty drink cans in a university and then takes them back to the recycling centre. That's pretty useful. Might not be amazing, but at least it means the place is clean.
What, scans the schoolyard and grabs...
No, not the whole schoolyard, but just one area where the students use, and it can see them on the table, then it can home in, servo the arm, pick it up, and then take it back to a recycling bin,
Wow.
drop it in the bin.
That's incredible. In fact, it's a good segue, my friend, because I'd love to see the kind of robots that are being built in schools all around Australia.
First mission that I had was I had to put rings on these levers, drive over to a pole, and you use these levers to go up and down and you had to put the rings on the pole so the pole moves down and a face appears, and then drive back to base. That was my first mission and I completed it. It was pretty hard. I had to assess how high this was going and how I started it off. So it's very important with it starting in the right position to go forward, because if it starts off to the side, say like that, it moves over like that instead of forward.
On programming, we went to Ascot Girls High School. On that day, we actually spent most of our time doing our back wheel, which was causing us a lot of problems because our robot wouldn't move as well. It would just judder all the time. One of our modes actually stopped working, so we had to replace it. But here it is now, and
Working great!
yeah.
It just blows my mind. I never had this in school. I kind of wish I could go back now. Imagine me in school, though. I'd be probably a bit too old now, right? But you guys get to play with robots all the time, is that correct?
Oh yes, definitely. And it's the favourite part of university, honestly.
What kind of robots were we just looking at that are being built in schools? Are they? We heard the words before, like autonomous, semi-autonomous. Was it remote controlled, animatronic? What are the kind of ones that are being built in schools?
Well, I would say that in schools, mainly you go for semi-autonomous robots. As explained earlier, I mean, your robots wouldn't really be able to find themselves if you put them, say, in a dark room or something. But if you place them in the right environment, they kind of would know what to do. You can also do remote-controlled robots as well. That's a lot easier, probably a good introduction for people who have never really built any robots before.
Right, so Shirleen, you're from Robogals. Explain to us what exactly is Robogals.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Robogals is actually a global organisation. We have chapters all around the world, and mainly at universities. So it's run by students, and the whole aim is to encourage girls into technical fields, mainly engineering, because as you probably know, there is a shortage. So we would like to see more girls interested in.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
So is Robogals specifically for girls?
We target girls, but we do run many co-ed workshops as well. Yeah.
Ah, right. And Maurice, how long have you been playing with robots for, my friend?
Oh, at least the last 10 years.
10
if
years.
not longer, yeah.
What's the best robot you've ever been a part of building?
We're building a robot right now that's a domestic robot, so a robotic butler that will hopefully bring you things from the fridge and eventually clean your room, hopefully. I think that's the long-term dream that everyone has.
Here's the question, though. What kind of skills do you need to have to build a robot?
There's a lot of science, technology, engineering, mathematics skills that you need, and in competitions like the RoboCup Junior, the first Lego League that school children get involved in, they pick up those skills and they learn them, and they'll go on to look at use those robots that we have at university and then take those to industry and build robots that people use all the time.
Is there a specific built in the world robot university where you just go to make robots?
Most universities have elements of robotics, yeah.
But how cool would it be to just have just a school devoted to it?
Oh, that'd be a dream come true.
We'll talk after this. All right, we've got another winning question. This one's from Olivia, and she asks, can robots be made out of recycled materials, example, plastic and foil, to save materials and save money? Good question, Olivia.
Oh, well, obviously the electronics of it would probably not, you can't make them out of plastic, but the outer covering, definitely, and I think it would probably be a very good idea to do so, saving the environment.
What kind of materials would you normally use when building in Robogals or building at the uni? What materials are used a lot?
Could be just about anything. So a lot of the robots that we see here in the studio today.
Dalek. Hey, Dalek. It's just, woo! I'm just a little bit sweaty. Hey, Dalek, good to see you. Say hi to Dalek.
Hi, Dalek.
Just be really sweet to Dalek.
Please don't kill us.
This question comes from Aria398. How long does it take to program a robot to follow a line?
Well, funny you ask. Behind us, we are actually just doing that right now, and hopefully it would take about half an hour.
Really?
Yes.
Half an hour to learn how to program a robot to do that?
Yes.
Wow. Skills. Now, what were we talking about before? So the idea, not the school robot, but we were talking about materials, right? So what kind of other materials would you use?
So we see a lot of recycled materials in the robots that we have here in the studio.
Sure.
And obviously we've got many sophisticated sort of manipulators and sensors, little cameras, the Kinects that, you know, kids use on their little Xbox to play games and so on. So there's a lot of sophisticated actuators, sensors that are used to put robots together.
I think metals. Straight away when I think robot, I think metals. So
I think plastics, a lot of plastics. There are robots today that you can print off on a little 3D printer and assemble. I think plastics are wood, metal, just about anything. A lot of electronics.
Heel, K9, heel. Good boy, K9, sit. Good boy. K9, he's just a bit playful. K9, come here, boy. Oh, he's a good boy. Go on, off you go. Good, no, go on. Just a little bit funny about that. Okay, this question comes from West Pimble. Could a robot be built that can learn? Good question. I like this one.
There are robots today that learn and to do their tasks. So they're either instructed by a human how to, a human might demonstrate how to complete a task, and the robot will observe and learn how to mimic that task.
Okay, interesting. Can I ask you also, what do school programs work towards? So we just saw robots being built in schools. What do the school programs work towards?
So school programs like the RoboCup Junior and First Lego League work really towards building up those important science, technology, engineering and math skills to be able to program robots like these, the robots like the ones we'll see, and as I say, robots that out in industry that help people, assisted care.
So it's not just about building the robot, but it's going somewhere for a reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Hey, Bruce, how are you? You having a good day? It's good to see you. Did you get a few new lights? No, give me that. All right, Bruce, good to see you. Oh, he's a good kid. All right, this one comes from Tabletop Primary School. How do you collect data from robots?
Well, robots have a lot of different sensors. So there's sensors like our vision, little cameras, like our eyes, microphones, but there's also infrared sensors, there's gas sensors that can pick up gas, there's sensors that can tell you how far an object is from it, laser rangefinders.
Wow,
there's
so
a variety of sensors.
So much data.
Absolutely.
So little time. That RoboCup Junior competition that you mentioned before, we actually have some footage. Check this out.
Today we're running the New South Wales Open for 2014 and we've got about 300-400 kids involved in about 150 teams across 3 divisions. The robotics competition that we run with RoboCup is an autonomous robotics competition. The kids and the teams get together, problem solve, and have to come up with a solution to a number of events that we run. And the robots have to do them completely by themselves. In the RoboCup, there's 3 divisions that we primarily have that the kids can compete in, dance, rescue and soccer. The dance competition is a very open-ended competition, allowing the kids to show their personality. They have to get the robots to literally dance to music.
It's been really fun. It's our first year this year and we just wanted to have a go too, so it's really fun.
The next competition that we have is rescue. Rescue is aligned along the idea of there's been a disaster and a robot needs to go in and save people. And they get to follow a line and eventually pick up and save a victim. Again, remember that this is all autonomous. Our third division is soccer. And soccer, there are 2 robots on each team and they're playing a game of soccer. They've got to kick a ball around between them. There's usually a defensive and a an attacking robot, but depending on the strategy of your team, that can be completely different.
In RoboCup soccer, we program the robot to find the ball, find the goals and then shoot. It finds the ball by a infrared sensor. It finds the goals with a compass sensor because the goals are magnetic. And we shoot with a motor that forces this to come down.
So it's essentially like a robot Olympics.
Absolutely.
Have you been to the days?
Oh, many days.
Where are they held?
So the New South Wales finals held at UNSW every year, but every state has its own competitions. There are regional competitions, and each year there's a national Australian competition that moves around the country.
Wow, it's amazing. I saw like dancing. What else? The
Rescue,
live robotics,
you've got rescue, and you've got soccer.
And soccer. Yeah, I noticed that they were playing soccer. What has robots playing soccer got to do with engineering?
Well, I mean, soccer's just a mechanism, but to explore, technology and important scientific techniques and so on. So, soccer really is a difficult task. You know, you've got to be able to get the robots to react in real time.
I struggle to play soccer,
Absolutely.
and I'm not a robot.
Exactly, and you've got to be able to think on your feet. You've got to be able to really react in real time, and getting these robots to do that is quite a difficult and challenging task.
So these guys that we see in front of us on the soccer field, they're your RoboCup champions. Is that correct?
Exactly. These are the world champion team from this year.
So these are the actual guys that went overseas as well?
To Brazil this year, yeah.
What? Amazing. We're in front of some celebrity right now. So tell me about these guys.
So these, in RoboCup, the international competition, there are a number of leagues that play soccer, that do domestic robots in your home.
And just
search
four
and
of
rescue robots. We play 5 a team. There's 1 goalkeeper, 4 on the field. We've just got 4 of the guys here today.
Yep, OK, the goalkeeper's having a day off.
Exactly,
Fair enough,
yeah.
pretty hard.
They're all pretty exhausted from, grueling competition.
Yeah, of course, yeah, stretching out as I can see and just trying to play a game of Scarecrow, it looks like, apparently.
So these robots are quite sophisticated robots. They've got two...
Right, so did they hear me just dissing them?
They can.
Sorry. So I'm kidding.
They'll probably find you after the show.
All right, let's have a look at these guys in action, shall we? All right, so as our expert programmer Sean is getting them ready, we're about to have a demonstration from the RoboCup champions right here in studio as they do. Oh, they're off. He's off already. So tell me, Maurice, how are they actually doing this from start to finish for the non-robotically minded? How are they doing this?
So just like any other sort of soccer player, you've got to be able to do things like walk without falling over.
Sure.
Although if they do fall over, you'll see them get up.
Also, humans, do you have to do that? You have to play with them, Sean, as well?
No, they can play by themselves.
So he'll get up, he'll be back on the field.
No way!
Yep.
That is amazing. How good is that? Audience, they're all just stunned.
So most of this is a lot of computer vision involved. So one thing, the robots need to be able to find objects like the ball, the goals, and so on. They look at the white lines. So imagine, taking a series of photos from position on the field.
Oh, kind of like a panorama shot on your phone.
And if I gave them to you, could you work out where you are on the field?
Of course, it gives you an idea. Oh, he's just...
Because that's what the robots do.
They're obviously fairly tired from their championship. He just decked his teammate.
Oh, they're good friends after the match.
Okay,
yeah, right. Forgotten.
Yeah, right. The Brownlows just were on, were they? Somebody won. So, OK, so other than... Oh, what a goal! What a goal! Oh, did you see that? Did you see that? That's amazing. So what about if I kick the ball away? Because he's going for it now. If I do that...
The robot will pick it up, it'll find it, and it'll run after it.
That is incredible.
And these are totally autonomous, right? There's no remote control here.
Right, good pullback. So these are autonomous.
They think for themselves. They can communicate with each other over the wireless network, so they have a strategy in which that one robot will be the attacker and one will be the supporter. So if the ball comes out of the play...
And they're fully programmed to do that?
They're fully programmed. There's about 125,000 lines of code that goes to program these robots.
How many?
125,000 lines to...
That means nothing to me, but it's a big number.
It's a big number, that's right. A lot of zeros. And
how do they possibly get up like that from getting down, from being pushed over or whatever? How do they figure out how to get up?
That getting up routine's actually pre-programmed, so that they just know whether they're face down or lying down on their back. And from that, they have a set routine for putting their hands behind them and supporting themselves to get back up.
And, you know, you used to see robots that would fall over, but they just keep walking. How do they know that they've fallen over?
So like your phone, they have what's called an accelerometer and a gyroscope in their chest.
A gyroscope, I know that.
And when they fall over, that senses that they're on the ground, and from there initiates the get-up routine.
Wow, just incredible. Now, it's actually, before I do that, it's not all, with autonomous robots, it's not all about, another goal! It's not all about fun and games, really, is it? I mean, we can use autonomous robots in the real world for different activities, right?
There's a lot of serious technology here, and as I said, the nice thing about soccer is that it's in real time. You don't have the luxury of just waiting and thinking about something. So one example, a past team member of ours took some of the techniques we developed from the computer vision and used it in a sawmill to make sure that the sawmill operator's hands weren't going near the saw.
Oh, so the robot knew to not cut off the hands.
Well, the robot knew to cut off the power if the hands were getting too close.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So there's a lot of applications for this, assisted care, helping people in, elderly people in particular that might have lost mobility. Yeah. There's a lot of uses of robots.
We've actually got a few more examples of how autonomous robots are used in the real world.
Inside this shed at Kyogle in northern New South Wales is a glimpse of the future of milk production in Australia. It's a fully automated robotic dairy, and even in a drought, these cows have been producing an extra litre of milk a day since the Dutch-designed system was installed. It rewards the most productive cows with extra rations. They find their own way to the stands an average of 2.3 times a day. The emphasis is on efficiency and cow comfort. How well have they adapted to it?
Well, initially it only took 2 days for the cows to voluntarily walk into the dairy. We had people here for the fortnight to initiate cow flow around the farm, but it actually only took about 48 hours for the cows to actually walk into the robots and enjoy that experience. So I'd say 2 days.
And what about you?
We're still adapting.
Maurice, some pretty cool examples of how autonomous robots are used in the real world. But there's other things as well. Like, I believe, is it true that we use robots for mining as well?
Yeah, there's mining, automated mining. There's robots used in ports to take containers off ships. There are a lot of agricultural robots, robots for weeding.
Agricultural robots?
Yeah,
really?
Robots
My
on the
grandma
farm.
would love that.
In your garden, you know,
Yeah.
looking at crops and seeing whether the crops are ready to be harvested and looking at the quality of the crops, whether they might need some tender care.
What about flying? What about airplanes as well?
There's drones have become very popular nowadays.
Of course, yeah, with the cameras, yeah.
And you can see them doing fancy tricks like flicking balls backwards and forwards.
But they're what we would call remote controlled, is that right? Or semi-autonomous?
Some of them are semi-autonomous, but there are also some autonomous drones that can do things, as I said, like there's a nice little demo that you might find on YouTube of robots passing a ball back and forwards amongst themselves. And
it's unreal.
They're underwater robots that will check like the quality of the Great Barrier Reef. And
Do you know what I heard the other day? You know the director James Cameron? He just went down to the Mariana Trench, which is the furthest part or the deepest part of the ocean in a robot. There you go. So they're going everywhere.
Well, you've got robots looking for, sunken ships under the seas and so on.
It's incredible. All right, another winning question coming in from my friend, which is actually a question in its title. Can robots melt people? That's not the question. That's his name, or her name. Can robots have supernatural powers apart from flying?
I don't know about supernatural powers, but they can do some amazing things like flying. They can go underwater. They can go into space. You're sort of bounded by your imagination when it comes to getting robots to do things.
Right. Oh, just that cool. Yeah, robots, huh? How about that Dalek? He's pretty cool. Oh, Dalek, good to see you. Thanks, mate. Nice work. Oh, I just ripped your eye out. Sorry, mate. I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. Exterminate? This question comes from Hagley Primary, sorry. The G looks like a Y. My apologies. How smart will robots become?
Oh, I think that's just limited by imagination. So they'll become as smart as we want them to be.
Is that the case? You know, you see a lot of movies where robots take over. Are we staring down the barrel of something? Is there truth in that? Or is it actually robots are only as smart as we make them?
Well, they're really just as smart as we make them. We're not at the point of the movies. The movies give us a very sort of fanciful view of robots, but we're really not at that point just yet. But we have made a lot of advances and we can get robots to do things that we'd never thought of before.
Yeah, right. Hey, K9, who's a good boy? Where's your ball? Where's your ball? Get your ball. Where's your ball? Go get your ball. Get your ball, K9. All right, another question. Thank you, K9. This is from Year 5 in Osh Alice. I'm so sorry about my pronunciation. The question is, how many robots are in operation in the world?
Oh, that's a good question. So,
don't get it wrong.
Oh, probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions. They're just automated robots in factories. Of course. There are a lot of robots out there. Yeah.
And again, that functional robot that you're working on at the moment, what do you hope to achieve with that?
Well, we're really trying to look at how robots interact with people, trying to help people out. As I said, while we're looking at robots in the home, another really nice application is assisted care, where you've got robots assisting people that might not be able to look after themselves. Assisting in questions while you're on television, right? Hey, Bruce, you sweetheart. How you doing, mate? Hey, you're doing a fantastic job. I don't want you to ever forget that. Go on, off you go, Bruce. He's a sweetheart, isn't he? Oh, definitely. He really is. All right, next question. This was from St. Thomas the Apostle Primary. How do you get inspiration for building robots? Oh, that's a really good question. So I would say that you get inspiration by looking around you and looking at problems that need to be solved and seeing where you could help people. So like you were saying before with the aged care, potentially building a robot that can help the aged care. What else? What else have you established, or what else? Well, you've got robots that are in dangerous areas. So be they like in mines where you might have people in danger, or autonomous search and rescue robots where you want to look for victims in collapsed buildings and so on. That's interesting, Maury. I want to get back to that in just a sec. K9's got another question. Good boy. Get your ball. Get your ball, K9. Go on. Go on. Good boy. Okay, this question comes from Sid and Ollie. How do you make robots strong enough to go into space? Yeah, good question, because the breakdown and the atmosphere. I think you do a lot of study of math, it's all about technology, engineering. It's about materials. It's about programming. It's about, so there's a lot of math, technology, engineering, science. You really, while you're at school, you need to study those subjects really hard, and you'll be able to build robots that can withstand anything. So again, talking about withstanding and sending robots into areas probably where humans aren't necessarily wanting to go. Do you have any examples of that? Well, we've seen robots that go into dangerous areas where there might be human victims, and you're trying to locate human victims, potentially rescue them, but normally you're just trying to figure out where they are so that you might eventually send in rescuers. And of course, you don't want to send people in there because there's still a danger to them. Yeah, sure. I think like it's robots and humans working in harmony, right? Exactly. That's Check this out.
Just a simulated response to an IED job that we may have to do, simulating the IED with a teddy bear. We manoeuvred the robot into a position so we could pick the teddy bear up from on top of the object, and then put it down to a safe location to be dealt with. It's all done remotely, utilising video cameras on the robot to see exactly what we're doing, so we've got a bit of spatial awareness on how and what the robot is actually doing. It's important that we can control the robots remotely, instead of them being autonomous. As our working environment changes with short notice and regularly, so quite often we can drive the robot down to the location and encounter other obstacles that can't be pre-programmed into the response of the robot, and we need to be able to adapt to deal with those changes. One of our main functions at the Rescue and Bomb Disposal Unit is dealing with IEDs. An IED is an improvised explosive device, and the robots allow us to do that by remote control, making our job a lot safer. We have a number of different robots in our catalogue. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of situations change, and individual robots suit different tasks due to their size or manoeuvrability. I would strongly encourage people to play computer games and the like if they wish to control robots as we do as bomb technicians. We're finding now that when we have the younger generation hand the controls of the robots over to them, they pick it up at a very quick pace as they're used to using their hand and eye coordination whilst playing computer games, and a lot of the controls for the robot now are based on computer games.
Hold up just a minute. Did you hear that last sentence? Guys, did you just hear that? A police officer just said that we could play more video games. What do you think about that? That is the best excuse in the book. Now whenever your parents say no, get back to your homework, you go, no, the police said I could actually play. And by the way, was that a robot with eyelashes? Did you see that?
Oh, it did look like that,
What was that about?
Yeah.
Now, Ian has been working on our message boards, getting answers to your questions. Now, Ian, welcome. Sorry to pull you away. We'll get you back there in just a second.
Great.
But are there any other situations you can think of, kind of like that, where we don't really want autonomous robots making the decisions for themselves?
Yeah, sure. Robots are really good at doing specific tasks, but often there's a whole bigger picture that they don't see. So one example is the flying robot that goes over the cricket ground or the rugby ground.
The drone that we were talking about before?
Yeah, with the camera on it.
Yeah, sure.
You could make that learn not to hit the players and not to hit the goalposts and so on, but you probably won't know what the most exciting part of the game is.
Of
So
course,
you always
right.
need a human to be telling it where that is. So anywhere where you've got that bigger picture, you need the human.
Am I correct in saying that the company you work for, CSIRO, right into the search and rescue at the moment? They're doing quite a bit with it?
Yeah, that's right. We have lots of robots that do this rescue that was mentioned before, of flying out, trying to find injured people all on their own. All sorts of other robots that go into dangerous spaces as well.
Wow. So if we were to paint a picture, what are we kind of talking about? Like, what's a robot being sent in to do?
Well, one example is mine spaces that haven't been used.
Don't mind the Dalek, Ian. Just keep answering the question.
Well, maybe if there's a Dalek, you need the robot to go in and find if there's a Dalek.
Yeah, right. Send a Dalek in to find a Dalek.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
But maybe in one application is in old mines. So if the mine's been closed down for some time, you don't know if it's safe. If you want to reopen the mine, for people to go in there, it would be dangerous. So we've got robots where you fly the robot into the mine space, it maps what the internal space of the mine looks like, looks for areas that may have collapsed or whatever, and
then comes back,
and then comes back, and it's really about safety. So
and then of course emergency surfers would go in after that.
Absolutely.
Wow. All right. Excuse me just a second,
Great.
Ian. I'll just have to. G'day, Dalek. Looking good. Your eye's fixed. Oh, sorry for poking your eye before. Why do you keep saying that? Because we're friends, right? Before the show. Anyway, sorry, Ian. The question is from AWC. Will Star Wars battle droids ever be real? Good question. Valid question.
Well, I think they probably will be. I'm not sure if they'll go beyond the speed of light and all those other things that happen in the movies.
Sure,
but,
yeah.
certainly something that, that transports us around without us having to drive, and this kind of things, shoots things for us, all of those.
If a robot is only as smart as its programmer, do you think that robots will replace the police? Good boy, stay there, sit. Do you think they'll replace the police one day?
Well, robots have computers inside them, and the computers are very powerful these days. So there are some things that computers can do better than humans. So if you've got a lot of data and you've got a lot of fast video streams, computers can actually pick things out of that data faster than humans can. So maybe they can do things that are better than us.
Oh, don't say that. There goes my job. All right, good boy, Kayne. Go on, off you go. Go on. Good boy. Go on. All right, this question comes from Nick. How fast is the fastest robot?
Well, there's robots on all sorts of things. Probably the fastest robot would be in space, and that's flying around at the speed that satellites go around the Earth.
Is it satellites or are we talking spaceships?
Both. So there's, for example, the arm on the International Space Station is a robot. I mean, it's a type of robot, and it's space hardened and flying around the Earth. Yeah. So that's probably the fastest.
The fastest one that we can think of.
But in terms of like ones that look like humans or animals and moving, I don't know, but probably not as fast as a cheetah.
Mate, Ian, get back to it. Thanks
Great.
so much.
Keep the questions coming.
Yeah, nice one. Good one. Give it up for Ian. All right. Let's go over to my good friend from Waitara. How are you guys going over here? You having fun? What's your name, my dear?
Regina.
Regina, how are we doing? What are you learning?
The sensors. And
the sensors?
Well, we change the lights to blink off and off. On and off.
On and off?
Yeah.
And what happens? So they're just going on and off at the moment. What does that show you?
Well, with this, you can program with the lights, but you can also do it with the motors on and off. So program with the cars and yeah.
You are learning heaps. All right, what else are we learning? What are you learning here, my friend? What's your name?
Danil.
Danil, what are you learning?
Well, I'm just experimenting with the lights, turning them on and off at different times.
Are you writing code?
Yes.
That is really impressive. Shirleen, this is amazing. So in half an hour, are these just the basics?
Actually, yes, they are. I mean, what they're using is sort of a little computer. It's a microcomputer, pretty much, and it's connected up to the little LEDs, and you can program the LEDs to blink in any pattern you want. You don't have to only use LEDs. You could connect it up to a buzzer or a motor and do many different kind of things with it.
Yeah, right. I think the all-important question here, Shirleen, and for the rest of the guys, is if you could build your own robot to do anything in the world, what would you do? What would you build it for, and what would it do? We asked that question to a couple of kids earlier on today, and check out their answers.
If I had a robot and I could tell it to do anything, I would program it to be able to do homework, because it is quite annoying.
If I could program a robot to do anything, it'd probably be to clean my room.
If I could program a robot to do anything, I would probably turn it into a supercar or something.
To do my bedroom or make me food or something.
I would get it to stand up maybe, because ours is on the ground, but to get it to stand up and move around and I don't know, have limbs like a person.
I would probably get it to do some of my homework, but not the fun stuff, because today my homework was to see how many jelly snakes I can cram in my mouth, and so I wouldn't want to get it to do that.
If I could program my robot to do anything, I'll get it to serve ice cream to anyone in the world.
Get it to do my chores in the house. And it does it in any time. I take a lot of time doing my chores and my mum just gets really mad.
If I could program my robot to do anything, it would be to help people.
If I could program our robot to do anything, it would be to fly.
I would definitely make it annoy my brother.
If I were to build a robot that could do anything in the world, I would build it to take my farts and turn them into fuel for my car. I thought about that for ages. Lucky that got a laugh. Now it's your turn, my friends. Splash is actually running a robot competition. It's your turn to build your very own robot. With that very question, if you could build a robot that could do anything, what would you do? Now, you can make the 90-second video that goes up on our Splash website, and it can look like anything, okay? You can draw a picture of it. You can make robot costumes. You can make the actual robot out of recyclables. It doesn't matter, just as long as you film it for 90 seconds, give it a name so we can put it up on the website. And get this, you could be in the chance to not just win your school some awesome prizes, but your very own robot kit. How good is that? That's what I'm talking about. So make sure straight after this show you get to it, start building that robot. That is all we have time for, my friends. Come on in, everyone, come on in. We've got lots of people to thank. Thank you to Dave, thank you to Paul Aiken, thank you to Bronwyn, thank you to Ian over on the message boards, thank you to Maurice, thank you to Shirleen, thank you to the Robogals guys, thank you to you guys for doing so well with learning, and thank me, thank the audience, thank the robots, thank you to everyone. That is it from us. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I'm Kayne Tremills, and this has been ABC Splash. Boost!